you cannot rely on Etsy to run your business. Etsy is its own business. They're doing their own thing. They're doing just fine. So you can't expect them to send you all of the traffic. Yes, you can pay for Etsy ads. Yes, you can do, opt into what's it called?
Offsite
Offsite
ads.
ads.
Yep.
You can do that all day long, but you need to be driving traffic to your store. You
Yeah.
need to be on social media. You need to have email marketing. You need to do whatever you have to do to make sure that those sales come, comparatively to being sad when they don't.
Yeah. Welcome back to Built Online, the podcast where we dive into everything online business. Here we explore the minds of creators who are building online businesses to power their dream lives and ultimately transform economies. I'm your host, Cody McGuffie, and if you're new here, I'm the founder and CEO of EverBee, a creator commerce platform where we believe that everyone deserves the opportunity to pursue their passions and to live life on their own terms. We're on a mission to make creator commerce accessible to everyone throughout the world, no matter where they are, and to make a positive impact in our families and our communities. And we believe that everyone that truly commits to a vision and pursues it with an undeniable force of will, that they will ultimately succeed. I'm really excited about today's show. Thank you for sharing your time with us. Before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to ask a quick favor for anyone that's listened to the show before. If you haven't already, please let us know if these episodes and these conversations are helpful or not. Share your feedback in the comments and review it if you would. It truly helps the podcast. It helps our team. It helps me personally understand what types of guests that we should have on the podcast. That really just helps us improve the show to make it better. We need your feedback. We would not be able to operate without your feedback. So be sure to follow the podcast, subscribe to the channel wherever you're watching this, so you really never really miss out on that one nugget that can really change your business and change your life. Enough of that. Really excited to have you here. Let's jump into today's show. Leslie, super happy to have you here.
Me too.
Yeah, let's dive into
Very
your story. I'm excited to share with the audience what I know a little bit about you, and I know you're absolutely crushing it on Etsy, and you do a lot of things with Etsy. How did you even come to Etsy to begin with?
Yeah, good question. So I actually started in 2017 on the homemade, because that's when Etsy was more handmade kind of stuff before they started allowing it to be more e-commerce based. So back in the handmade days, I was doing handmade home decor with my husband.
Cool.
So he was the woodworker and I was the painter and the designer for all of them. So I started there, and we basically we're honestly still kind of doing it, but very, very minimally now,
Sure.
for mom at Christmas kind of thing. But we'll still do, kind of sprinkled in jobs now and then. But that store did significantly well for us.
Cool.
And it was kind of we both had full-time jobs at the time.
That's fine.
So it was more of just we love traveling. And that was always my goal, was to travel kind of full-time or live in an RV and do our own thing. So we found very quickly that the manual work was a lot. It was we were both working, until minimum 5 or 6 p.m. in our regular jobs, and then working about 4 more hours to build wood, and then every Saturday and Sunday was committed to it, whatever. So we loved that, and it fulfilled its purpose during that season of life. But then it just got me into Etsy so much more, where I saw that there was just such a wide variety of things that can be done, from the digital space to the handmade space to obviously the POD space, which I'm in now. So that's where I really started. And then because I love time freedom, I decided to go into more of the automated things, where it could kind of be set it and forget it as a digital download, or for print on demand, I basically make all the designs in-house, but then someone else can fulfill it for me.
Okay, there's so much that I want to unpack.
Totally.
What were you doing there? What were you and your husband? What was your jobs? Just generally
Yeah,
speaking.
for sure. Absolutely. So I worked for a small consulting firm in Georgia in the property management space during this period. And I also was a property manager as well. So it was kind of
so unrelated. So unrelated to Etsy.
Oh yeah, not the same.
And I bring this up.
It just wasn't paying for my travel bills. So.
Understood. And the reason why I bring this up is because so many of our sellers are brand new, right? And maybe when I say brand new, within a year of starting e-commerce, they're just figuring it out. So hearing this story is actually very inspiring to them and gives them hope, because they're in a job right now. They are in a situation where they have debts, they have financial obligations, maybe they want more time freedom, and they don't have it. And they're searching for that. So they found Etsy, and they're like, oh, I heard about this Etsy thing. You can potentially do that. but I don't know how. And like, I don't even know if
Right.
it's possible. And that's literally what they're trying to like make sense in their head
Yeah.
is it even possible to do this? And then there's a bunch of doubts that pop in their head, like, I can't do it. I have no skills. It doesn't transfer to e-commerce, Etsy. Like,
Right.
why should I be successful in this? But here we are with Leslie, and she
Mhm.
just told you that she came from real estate, property management,
Right. Not
wholly
even real
unrelated.
estate, the like student apartments, like not good stuff.
Right. Okay. So,
Right.
and I'm sure you've been humble about that, and modest about that. That's fine.
True.
But either way, like, you're coming from something unrelated, and you're learning a brand new skill,
Right.
um, a set of skills actually of e-commerce and this Etsy
Yes.
thing. And it takes. I'm sure there's so much grit, and I know that there's so much grit and so much like adversity you need to fight through to become successful. And now, let's just fast forward for a second. You now
Yeah.
have multiple Etsy shops, it sounds like.
Yep.
You're wildly successful in those things. You also do other things like coaching other Etsy sellers and stuff like that, empowering other women to succeed in this journey of theirs, which is amazing. Anyway, just kind of recapping that for them. So let's jump into the actual things that you're doing now. Podcast.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not podcast. Print on demand and
Yeah.
digital downloads.
Yeah. So I actually in the next month, in the next 30 days, this is the first time anyone's finding out about it other than my husband and my photographer. But we are getting into the mock-up space, which I'm really excited about.
Cool.
And for the listeners and viewers of this, it is because of EverBee. Truly, I'm not just saying that because I'm on this call.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is literally because I used EverBee. So I was working with a client where I do actually Etsy shop builds from the ground up for people
Okay.
that like they kind of just want to like be hands off in the beginning stages. Let me get it up and running, and
Yep.
then they can own it, right? So I was doing that for a client, and I was getting mock-ups for her. And it was a space that had not been infiltrated yet, and it was not oversaturated because it's basically like female with like pretty hair, and
Yep.
the white or the ash is like what's out there. So we found, and I'm not going to speak on it because don't steal it from me, but but we found 3 markets that have not been like saturated yet.
Awesome.
So we're actually jumping into that, and it was literally because of the research that I did with EverBee, which was awesome. So we're
That's so
super
cool.
excited. Yeah, super excited. So thank you for this awesome platform for that, because I wish I could like turn my computer. It's like 400 t-shirts over here, like
Nice.
ready to go for our photo shoot, literally happening tomorrow morning. So that's where we are going. And we have been in print on demand in, God, when did I start that? 2019, I believe, is when we
Oh,
started
wow.
print on demand. And then obviously when COVID hit, it became a little bit more necessary. So we went really hard in the 2020, 2021 year. And then in 2022, obviously it evolved, which is the reason I named my business Evolution, because I want to continuously be evolving with the market. It turned into kind of teaching people how to do it. So that's kind of the trajectory from 2017 to now.
That's amazing. And a lot of people when they so you're a successful seller, obviously,
Yeah.
and people, they always ask me like, well, how do you define successful, like in Etsy?
Right.
And obviously, you take Amazon FBA and you take another like Shopify, and like the numbers are always different.
Oh, for
What
sure.
equals success, right?
Mhm.
How do you define Etsy success? And as far as like from a revenue standpoint or profit standpoint, how do
Yeah,
you view that whole thing? And then would you mind sharing
for sure.
numbers specifically, like how have you done like in the past, like,
Totally.
or what would you expect in 1 year, or total cumulative,
Mhm.
however you want to describe it?
For sure. So don't get me wrong, I would love to be the 100K plus seller that
Mhm.
just does Etsy. Absolutely. That'd be awesome. Don't get me wrong, but that's not what made sense for my life.
Yep.
Just because I just love teaching. And I love offering marketing services to clients. That's where my proficiency is. That's
Love it.
where I love to live. Right. So, and I love, creating videos, obviously being on TikTok and stuff. I like that kind of interpersonal thing. So I personally do, I would say around like, I don't have my numbers up in front of me, but I would
Yeah.
say like no less than 1,500 passively on a monthly basis. And we've gone up to around 8,000 at the highest mark.
Awesome.
And that was like one off, like Christmas. So it's like, I don't want that to be like, oh, you could get 8K a month. Absolutely could. But for me and my husband, it just is a really awesome side hustle to our side hustle, if you will.
Yep.
Because I obviously am a full-time freelancer and agency owner. So I do Etsy as I have like my umbrella, and then I've got my verticals all under
Yep.
it, Etsy being one of them.
I love it.
So yeah, so that's what we personally decided to do. If the mock-up thing takes off and it's 100K, by all means, I'll be able to travel a lot more, but I will still do my normal, freelance business.
Because you love that side of things.
Right.
You love the teaching side of things, the coaching side of things, the
Yes.
agency side of things. And that's great because you found the thing that you love. And then Etsy
Right.
more is like a side income to the other things.
Right. Exactly.
Which is amazing, right? Because that's what, like, again, not all the sellers here all aspire to be a full-time Etsy seller. That's not like, that's not all their goals. That is a lot of them, but that doesn't have to be your goal.
Exactly.
It could just $1,500 a month passively. When I say passive, we all know. I'll say
right. Everyone
like
hates that word on TikTok
passive
right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like 80% passive. It takes work, but not a lot of work, and you can scale it usually. But the point is, like, that's amazing income, right? That's a mortgage payment in some cities, right?
Exactly.
And that's certainly groceries, and that's certainly, like, it gives you the confidence, the platform to grow from there. And you're not even focusing only on Etsy. Like, if you wanted to focus on Etsy, that thing can 10x. But that's not your focus.
The thing is, me and my husband have talked about that many times too, is like, I don't want to, but if we did, I could easily pull back on everything that I'm doing in the other verticals and focus all of that time and energy on Etsy. And we easily could. I don't want to say easily. It's not easy. Don't take that and run with it. But like, we could, knowing where we're at without literally doing anything. Like, I just get beepings, like every day. And it's because I put in the effort. I did the research. I know what sells. I made very, very unique designs that like not one person had on Etsy. So it's like, I was very, very intentional with the products that we built. Like, my store has like 27 items. It's nothing even crazy, but if I wanted it to be, it absolutely could. So that's kind of to show that, like, you could go all in and kill it, or you can kind of do what I do and then just have that kind of like supplemental piece that kind of just is, if anything were to happen in my other businesses, like, I got something to fall back on that's just doing its thing in the background for me.
I love it. You have gone into multiple markets, it sounds like, with different shops and stuff like that. How do you identify the market? For example, you just went into this one, but like, what are some of the criteria? What are some of the things you look for? Because right now, a lot of sellers are looking for their niche.
Totally.
They're searching for it. What do you do?
So,
what are things?
So the first thing I do, and this is what I tell all of the girls that I work with too, I want you to think about something that you enjoy and that you could be passionate about, but don't make items or designs that you would buy. Like, don't like just go into it being like, oh, I like this, I'm going to make it, because that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody else is going to like it either. So for me, I wish I could like show you. I have like a bunch of horror oriented stuff on this side of my wall, not in my Zoom corner. But I am very, very into like horror, true crime, like always have been. It's just my weird personality. But then I also really, really love sports. So I've been not really as much anymore, but like I was in sports journalism for college. Like that's what I was University of Florida. I was a Gator, and my dad like took me to all the games, so that's what I grew up on. So that kind of like niche, and like the SEC is like a whole different ball game. If you haven't ever been down there, it's a cult following. So down there, it kind of just, it made sense to kind of be in spaces that I enjoyed. Exactly. And the reason why I say that's step one, because that's only step one, but like the reason I say that step one is, why would I put myself into a space where I don't like making designs? Like, it's not something I'm passionate about. It's not something that like would be, interesting to me if I saw it on the shelf. Right. So that's the first thing that I personally do. And then I make that list of like 5 or 10 things that I'm like, I could be interested in flowers. I could be interested in RVs, whatever it is. And then I take that and make it I am an analytical person. Everyone that I work with knows that I am very, very numbers driven. I've always said, like, my mentor, when I was like 2011, when I was like 20, taught me numbers tell a story. And that has stuck with me. And now I'm almost 31. So that stuck with me for literally 10 years, that I take those and then I put them into Etsy. I put them into EverBee. I put them into Google search. I put them into Amazon, wherever I can go to find, do these things actually make sense? Are people looking for these things? Is there a market? Then the third step, is the market too oversaturated where I'm just going to be white noise?
And how do you figure that out?
So basically it's like for the mock-ups, for example, like we talked about, it's like the girls with the white background and the blonde hair all over the place. Doesn't make sense. I don't have blonde hair, so it's perfect. But like, it doesn't make sense for me to go that route. But what does make sense is, whatever X, Y, and Z I decided to do. So like, let's say I don't know, let's just say like moms are everywhere on Etsy, right? Because usually it makes sense, that's what they're buying, or that's the people that are on that are buying. So it does not make sense. First of all, it's not on my list of things that interest me because I'm not a mom. I can't speak
Yep.
to the things that moms could. So first of all, it would have died with option one.
Yep.
But if I made it all the way to option or to step three, I would see that that is just a super oversaturated market by researching on like through those four kind of outlets that
Okay.
I said a second ago. So personally, I would pop it into Etsy, mom t-shirts, mom, or just honestly like gifts for mom is probably where I would start, because it doesn't have to be t-shirts. We know that.
Sure.
It could be candles, it could be SVG downloads, it could be whatever. So I'd probably say gifts for mom or something of that kind of keyword,
Okay.
long tail key phrase to figure out which ones are doing the best, and then go into that one and see if it's oversaturated. So I kind of have like, again, a very data driven process of determining if these even make sense or not.
If someone, like, let's say a mom gift and you see a candle that's like just mom candles, seems like they're crushing it for some reason.
Yeah.
How do you determine, okay, hey, this is oversaturated, or this is too competitive, or there's an opportunity here? Like, is it just like a gut feeling at this point of like, I feel like I can, like, there's a space for me, or is it like a
So
data?
I think, so let's say we type in gifts for mom.
Mhm.
I actually saw this one the other day that made me laugh out loud, and I'm not a mom, but it was funny because I would make one for myself. It was like mom's last nerve. Oh, look, it's on fire. And I was like I literally spit out my
Nice.
water. I was like,
Yeah.
that's good. Like that made me laugh. And I'm not even a mom. So what I would do then is be like, okay, they're killing it. How old are they? Like, how long has that listing been alive? Because if it's been 3 years, and yeah, they're killing it because they've been
Okay.
there for a
So
while,
it's
right?
got $7,000,
Right.
$7,000 in revenue, for example, and it's been on there for like 4 months.
Right.
Yeah. So check.
That exactly. I'd be like, check. Then
Okay.
what I would do is type in that exact, like the keywords that they used,
Okay.
or just the candle
So
itself.
funny
And
mom candle gift
exactly.
or something like that.
Right.
Then take that, put it into Etsy.
Exactly. So I'll pop
Okay.
that right back in the exact same way that I did gifts for mom.
Okay.
Pop that back up into the search bar. And then if I see that that's the only one of those, check. And then I will make something comparable to it, not copy by any means. I will
Yep.
just use it as inspiration. Like, what would make me laugh? Just like the way this one did, and still kind of have the same vibe where maybe it's an amber jar with a black top, something like that, it obviously did well for a reason. It got a rise out of people that made them laugh. So what can I do to be comparable in that space?
Okay, got it. Is there space for you? If there's two, there's
Right.
three, there's four, there's five. It's probably
I
still
would think
space.
up to 5. I think
Okay.
we're good. But if I see, like I said earlier, going back to the mock-ups thing, like 50 on the first page all look exactly the same, why would I be able to stick out in that? I'd probably not choose it.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Fair enough. Gosh, time is going back so quickly, but I want to dive into so much. What do you think the mindset is that you have to be a successful seller? Because I'm switching gears a little bit, right? To more
No,
of the
you're good.
mindset thing, but that's like, it's a main thing, right? I talk to a lot of sellers. Some are brand new. I have family that are like just jumping into Etsy and they're having some success, and I love seeing it. But also there's like these valleys of despair, right? They're into
Yep. Ebbs and flows. Yep.
ebbs and flows. And can you talk about a little bit about what it takes to actually overcome some of those doubts, those uncertainties, those fears, and like
Totally.
what
That's
you kind of got
actually,
there?
yeah, it's actually what I'm going through right now. So it's perfect timing.
Cool.
I wouldn't say insecurities or doubts or anything, but I I believe the answer to that question is proper preparation. And again, I'm a data-driven person, so the proper research. So if you know that, like McDonald's, for example, as a brand, they knew that Burger King, I'm just making this up as I go, but like Burger King had all of these things that performed very well in the market. I'm gonna go do the exact same thing, make it a little better. And they're performing well in the market, right? So if you can make absolutely sure, theoretically, without actually trying it, by all the research that you can get done for yourself, it's going to set you up in a better space to feel
Mm,
more confident in what you're doing. So that's number one. I personally did not do well at this over the past 2 months, but again, because I'm focusing on other things. But the bulk of our store, one of our print on demand stores that we have, is football oriented. Football season ended last Sunday, so now I am like, we,
mhm.
and I didn't personally do the prep that was needed to make it where it's not just it's a plateau, or even goes up, or it stays consistent, whatever, because what I should have done and what I am doing now, like what I should have done is prepared and knew what was coming up. So I like to call it like just again that preparation of like knowing what's upcoming over the next 90 days for your target audience. So Mother's Day, for example, it's coming up in May. You should probably be prepping for it right now. And you should probably be doing that research right now. School ending and graduation is another really big thing for moms. You should probably be prepping for that now if you're in that space. Summer, back to school in August, whatever. So I personally like to look at it at a fiscal year of what is going to be happening in the lives of the people that I'm trying to target to make myself feel more confident in that. So that's what I would say first is that preparation piece of it.
Preparation gives you, and wrapping this back to mindset, it's just to give you confidence, really, right?
Exactly.
About to keep going when it kind of gets dark, because it gets dark a little bit, right? Where you like spend a lot of time, you spend a lot of energy, you spend a lot of money on listing these products, and none of them are really selling. And or maybe you're having a downtime, which is super real, by the way. Thank you for sharing that, because like that's real. And like we talk to a lot of sellers, and or you see the YouTube videos, see TikTok, and you see like everybody just seems like they're just going up, right?
Yeah,
up to the right, and everybody's sales are just crushing. But that's not reality. Reality is what you just said, like ebbs and flows of the business and your mindset. When you kind of do get down a little bit, let's say when you're, I don't know if you can go back to like when you're first starting on Etsy or first starting entrepreneurship. What are some other things that like you would tell a seller, when they're in that dark time, when they have maybe 2 sales or they have 10 sales, and they're like, it's like, I see a little bit of the light, but I lose sight of it. How would you encourage them to move forward?
So I think it kind of goes back to the prep thing again, in a way where if you have, so like, let's say your goal is to make, just making this up as I go, but like 2,000 a month is the goal. Everyone that's like, I want to make 10K a month, like that's awesome. But what does 10K mean? And I like to break it down to brass tacks of 2,000. So I have my average, my customer lifetime value is averagely like $35 or whatever the case may be, or the average shirt, if I take everything that I have, is $30, whatever. So how many of those do I need to sell to get to that 2,000? And then also knowing, since I'm personally in the print on demand space, it actually needs to be double that because I'm spending money exactly on things. So I would say kind of, again, the prep thing is, if you just like wait for the dings from Etsy, it's not going to work. Like, yes, hopefully you did your SEO right and your mock-ups are incredible and your photos and your videos are great, whatever, but like you cannot rely on fully Etsy to bring you things in and just hope that it works. So that's what I would say first, is to figure out what your big income goal is and break it down into smaller goals. And then just know, okay, today, in order to make 2K by the end of this month, I need to sell 2 shirts today. Ding, ding, we're good. The next day, I need to sell 4 shirts. Ding, 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 we're good, right? So that's what I would say there. And again, kind of the prep space. But I also want to go back really quick to you cannot rely on Etsy to run your business. Etsy is its own business. They're doing their own thing. They're doing just fine. So you can't expect them to send you all of the traffic. Yes, you can pay for Etsy ads. Yes, you can do, opt into what's it called? Offsite ads. You can do that all day long, but you need to be driving traffic to your store. You need to be on social media. You need to have email marketing. You need to do whatever you have to do to make sure that those sales come, comparatively to being sad when they don't.
So it's basically being like taking ownership, right? Taking full responsibility of your success, versus just like, I'm starting an Etsy and my Etsy sales, they suck. They're down. I hate Etsy. Right. And it's like,
exactly.
Like Etsy sucks. And it's like, no, wait, like, you're a business. Etsy's a business. Like, own your business. And like to be a business owner, it's hard. Like to be clear, like it's hard. And anybody that says it's easy is lying, or they just don't understand. They've never owned a business. It's actually a hard thing. There's a lot of things that go into it, but it's simple. Like it can be very simple. And I think what I see, and I'm curious what your opinion is like, I see the lack of curiosity sometimes with sellers, brand new sellers, almost like they think they just need like a listings and then like images and like descriptions, tags, throw it up and it'll sell. And
call it a day.
Yeah. And that's it. Basics. Yes, you're right. But like the seller should also think longer term. Like, I'm going to be in this thing in the next 5 or 10 years. So therefore I better just understand everything about e-commerce. The fundamentals, right? Like conversion rates, average order values. What is lifetime value of a customer? You don't need to know all these things yet. but the curiosity needs to be there to like, I wonder what that is. I
Absolutely.
wonder what return on ad spend is, right? Like, I wonder what these things are. You don't need to know them all, but like you should at least be thinking there's a lot more for me to learn.
Right.
And it sparks something in our brain to actually read the books, to listen to the podcast, to watch the YouTube channels, versus just being like, I think I know it all. How come I'm not getting sales?
Right.
And there's so much more. It's go deeper. My encouragement to sellers that are fairly new is go deeper. There's more, there's more, uncover more.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's funny too, because my, another thing I've stuck with me for years is, if I am the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. And that's what I say all the time. So I think this is a perfect example where even now, like even after the success that I've experienced, the freelance business that I built, blah, 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 I'm reading Atomic Habits right now. I just got done reading Nuclear Effect. So it's like, I'm always consistently learning. That's one of my core values in my business is like ABL is what we call it. So it's always be learning. So no matter what that is, like, it doesn't matter if I hit the 100K on Etsy, I'm still gonna like, be like, how can I do more? And not in a, like, I'm never satisfied way, because that does sound a little bad, but like just always trying to be evolving into whatever, like you said, that goal is. Because I do personally, and I tell all my girls this too, I've had so many discovery calls of girls just being like, I saw your TikTok, I want to do Etsy too. And I'm like, cool. What niche do you want to be in? What target audience do you want? What products do your target audience already looking for? And then they have no idea what I'm talking about, because like you said, it seems like an easy, sometimes like get rich quick kind of thing. And it's not, it's truly a business. And if you don't own it like a business owner, it really won't succeed. You might get a couple of trickled sales here and there, and that's awesome. Congratulations. Cool. But it will not be a sustainable business model.
I totally agree. We have a saying, what is it? You've probably heard it before, but it's like, if you treat it like a hobby, it's going to pay you like a hobby.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
And
if you only do it on Saturday mornings, like expect sales on Sundays, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And hobbies don't pay very well. In fact, we pay for hobbies. So totally agree. Awesome. Where can people find you? Like, you have so much knowledge to share. You share a bunch of stuff for free. Where can they connect with you?
Totally. Yeah. So I make it really easy. Evolution Freelancing on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and everything else for that matter. But it's EVOLUSHEN Freelancing.
And
so I did that
in the bio, in the description.
Yeah, perfect. Podcast, exactly.
All that good stuff.
Yep. And then you can easily find, so Evolution Design, spelled the exact same way, but designs instead of freelancing, is the website that will show you everything.
Awesome. And then you mostly are helping, who do you help? I guess tell us who you help.
So I actually built my business. The reason why we spell it weird is I always wanted to be evolving, like I mentioned earlier, but I do my biggest goal in life is to build the biggest, baddest girl gang of just female entrepreneurs. So I do only work one-on-one privately, like in a coaching capacity with females only. And then I do have a private Facebook group. I think we're around like 300 or 350 now, that is strictly females that are looking to grow their businesses or to like create from scratch. So that's usually who I work with, but that's like 50% of my business. The other 50% is I actually do like marketing services for brands across the world.
Awesome. Very cool. So inspiring.
Oh my God, thanks.
No, seriously. No, thank you. And you've added tons of value. I'm sure there's a million other questions that people want me to ask you. And I have questions in my head too, but for the sake of time, we'll wrap it up, and really appreciate you coming on. Yeah, for sure. We'll have to have you on again and talk about specific subjects.
I am always here. You know it.
Cool. Okay. I'll see you later.
Sweet. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye.